Get ready, Padres fans. This is the EcoWater SoCal Padres Pregame Show on the Padres Radio Network.
Yeah, Machado laces it in the air to deep left. This one, gonna go!
Coming up, we'll recap the last Padres game, preview today's starting pitching matchup, give you our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Craig Stammen. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. As today the Padres take on the Los Angeles Dodgers in the third game of a four-game series. Our starting pitching matchup tonight for the Padres, an opener left-hander Wandy Peralta with right-hander Griffin Canning slated to get bulk innings, and for the Dodgers, right-hander Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you from Dodger Stadium here in LA. Happy Independence Day. It is a beautiful day here in Southern California on this 4th of July as we celebrate America's 250th birthday on this Saturday. First pitch coming up at 7:10 here at Dodger Stadium in LA. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, a lot to do. We'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. We hear from newly named 2026 All-Star Mason Miller, the lone All-Star representative right now for the Padres. Well deserved. We'll hear from Mason coming up in a little bit, and we check in with Padres radio booth in just a little while as well. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres enter today 43-44. Padres have lost 7 in a row and entered today under 500 for the first time since early April. Today they look to avoid dropping 8 straight games for the first time since 2013. Padres have allowed 70 runs in this 7-game stretch, their most runs allowed in a 7-game span in franchise history. Padres entering today 4 games out of a National League wild card spot. I know, not a lot of good notes there, but that is the reality of what the Padres are going through right now. Meanwhile, the Dodgers come in 58-31. They've won 9 of their last 11 games and 6 of 8 against San Diego this season. Well, once again, yesterday's game here in LA was going really well until it wasn't. Let's quickly rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, for a second straight night, the Padres offense got going early. Shohei Ohtani did not have his command on the mound early. He issued back-to-back walks to begin the game. With 1 out and runners still at first and third, Gavin Sheets dug in against Ohtani.
Cronenworth and Tatis take their leads. Here's the pitch. Sheets swings, lines it into right field. That'll get down in front of Tucker. Fernando racing around third on his way. Here's the throw to the plate. It is not in time. Tatis scores standing up right ahead of the tag from rushing, and the Padres on the board in the first inning again. An RBI single by Gavin Sheets.
Padres still led 1-0 going to the 4th inning. Ohtani recorded the first 2 outs of the inning, but then it was Jackson Merrill.
So 2-0 instead of 1-1. And Merrill swings, sends it in the air to center field and deep. Pages going back. He is at the wall. This one gonna go. Jackson Merrill with a home run to straightaway center. He has left Dodger Stadium for a second consecutive night. And the Padres now lead 2-0 here in the 4th.
That is how you use a challenge.
Michael King was terrific to start. 5 scoreless innings, just 50 pitches. Padres led 2-0 going to the 6th inning. Ohtani again got the first 2 outs, but then Jackson Merrill singled. Xander Bogaerts was next.
Here's the 1-1. Bogaerts lines it the other way into right field, heading towards the corner. That'll get down and roll. On his horse, Merrill heading towards third. He's going to be waved. Tucker's throw coming in. Freeland's relay to the plate, not in time. Xander Bogaerts an RBI double. And with 2 outs here in the 6th inning, the Padres add on. It's 3-0.
A great gut punch right there for the Pods.
King went back out for the top of the 7th inning. Padres up 3-0. King got in trouble. Mookie Betts walked. Max Muncy singled. 2 on with nobody out. King came out of the game. Adrian Morejon came in. He faced Kyle Tucker. Tucker hit a tailor-made double play ball to Jake Cronenworth. Cronenworth bobbled it, couldn't get an out anywhere. An error on Jake, a very costly one because Teoscar Hernandez was next.
And if you ever listen to Tony and Jesse during a Dodger game, you're sick of us saying it, but mistakes against this team. Hernandez in the air, deep to left center field, way back, and gone, a grand slam. Mistakes against this team, you always pay a price. Dodger Stadium erupts as Hernandez clears the bases. It is 4-3 LA.
Padres did not score against the Dodger pen. The final score yesterday, Hernandez hitting the go-ahead grand slam. The Dodgers 4 and the Padres 3. And the Padres losing a 7th consecutive game. First pitch coming up at 7:10 here in LA. Let's check in with Jesse Agler.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Jesse, let's use the wide lens right now. It's obviously not going particularly well for the Padres. 7 consecutive losses, and as you and Tony talked about after the game last night, the last 3 in particular, and it seems like in succession they are getting tougher and tougher for this ball club. How do you view what's going on right now? And I suppose what is the hope for Padres fans right now that this team can indeed get this turned around and pointed back in the right direction?
I guess, I just always think back to one of those things that I say a few times a year, and that is in this sport, and this applies on the micro level, for a guy who's in a slump, and it applies on the macro level for a team that's not winning or is winning a lot. And, when you're on a winning streak or when you're on a hot streak of the plate, it feels like you'll never lose again. It feels like you'll never make an out again. And the inverse is also true, right? When you're cold, if you're 0 for your last, 30 or 1 for your last 22 or whatever it is as a hitter, you feel like you're never going to get a hit again. When you've lost 7 in a row, you feel like you're never going to win again, but you will. And at some point, it'll happen. And I don't know if it's tonight. I hope it is, obviously, for the Padres. But I think that's kind of what you just have to latch on to, right? Is that, you're not going to lose forever. You're not going to set, the major league record for consecutive losses here. This isn't that Orioles team, that began the season, 0 and whatever back in the 80s. This team's not that team. But obviously, it is a brutally tough stretch that's going on right now. As you just kind of alluded to, the last 3 in particular, there's almost a cruelty to the way that it's happening at the moment. Yeah. But I will say, and Tony and I were just kind of talking about this a few minutes ago, just sitting here in the booth. I mean, it's kind of impressive in a way. I mean, they've not rolled over. The way the offense has kind of come out the last 2 nights after the previous games, lost. I mean, they've battled. They've stayed tough. They've not rolled over. They've not quit, anything like that. You've only got maybe so many of those in you after these sorts of devastating losses. But for the moment, they're still battling. They're still fighting. And that's a very, very good sign. I think it says a lot about the pride and the professionalism of those guys down there. But look, make no mistake, this is about as tough as it's going to get for a team of this caliber. And I know all the fans are feeling that right now as well.
Tough matchup here tonight against Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound for LA. Wandy Peralta opening for the Padres. Griffin Canning slated to get bulk innings. Jesse, to build off your point about the offense, that is a piece of good news in this stretch. They continue to be pretty productive. You are getting contributions from guys like Jackson Merrill. Swings in this series have looked really good. Jake Cronenworth, offensively, since coming off the IL, has really been a different guy. That is a positive right now. The offense continues to tick upward, which you hope is, a sign of bigger things to come.
Yeah, I mean, they had 4 straight games with double-digit hits. Yesterday, they had 8 hits. And if I would have told you that a couple of weeks ago that they were going to have that kind of run, you'd have been thrilled, right? I mean, remember, it felt like they couldn't buy runs and hits for a while there. Now, obviously, they're not putting it all together. And the pitching has kind of made that moot, unfortunately, as of late. But, yeah, I mean, getting the offense going is a step forward. It is a positive. You hope at some point the pitching catches up and, it all meshes together at some point, because we really haven't seen that this year. It's the pitching that carried this team early on in the season when they got off to a great start. Remember, they weren't really scoring many runs at all. They weren't hitting at all. Now the offense is clicking. The pitching is not. And, if it all comes together at some point in the second half, that would be a best case scenario. But yeah, no doubt the offense trending up in a very real way. And you just highlighted a couple of guys that are leading the way.
Jesse, good insight as always. We'll talk to you and Tony coming up at the very top of the hour as the Padres go for a win in the third game of this 4-game series. Thanks so much.
You got it, Sammy. Thanks.
That is Jesse Ackler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network. Again, first pitch coming up at 7:10. We send things up to Jesse and Tony in just about 40 minutes right here on this July 4th, Independence Day here from Los Angeles. Should be a nice night for baseball. I think it's a little bit warmer than it's been last couple of nights, but not too hot here at Chavez Ravine. Crowd filing in as we celebrate the 250th birthday of the United States of America. They've got fireworks after the game here tonight in LA. So a lot going on, and the Padres trying to get things pointed in the right direction. They've lost 7 in a row. They're under 500 for the first time since early April, and we'll see if they can do some damage against the very talented right-hander Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound for LA tonight. When we come back, we'll take our first look at the Padre lineup. We'll also hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. Much, much more to do as we walk you up towards first pitch here in LA on the Padres Radio Network.
You're listening to the
EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at I can't believe I just did that. I'm here at Dodger Stadium. I am not inside the Western Metal Building. I've got Matt Scraby with me here, too. He's visiting for the day here in L.A. Wow. I can't believe I just said that. All right. I'm not at Petco Park. I'm not inside the Western Metal Building. It's just my reflex. I'm sorry. It's my reflex. I'm here at Dodger Stadium in L.A. as we get you ready for first pitch coming up at 7:10 game 3 of this 4-game series. As always, our pregame coverage brought to you by EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. Let's take a look at the Padres lineup here tonight as they try to snap this 7-game skid. Looks like this: Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field leading off, Jake Cronenworth at second base batting second, Manny Machado at third base batting third, Gavin Sheets in left field batting cleanup, Ty France at first base batting fifth, Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting sixth, Jackson Merrill in center field batting seventh, Miguel Andujar, the DH, batting eighth, and Luis Campusano is back in the lineup off the IL yesterday, getting his first action since returning from the IL. We'll talk a little bit more about Campy later. You'll hear from Craig Stammen about him in a moment as well. Campusano doing the catching. And batting ninth with left-hander Wandy Peralta opening today's game. Right-hander Griffin Canning scheduled to get bulk innings in this one. As we get ready for first pitch coming up here in LA, let's hear from Padre manager Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in a manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Cooking over that before when you have openers, there's a lot of different factors going into it. Is this an availability thing with Wandy? Is it a lineup thing or anything? What makes the decision today that the opener is the way to go? Because Griff didn't need one last time.
Yeah, I think it just probably bullpen availability has a big, to do with it. Wandy being available, I feel like he's done well in that role, and we feel like he can get us off to a good start.
Facing Yamamoto, again, you just saw him recently. You talked about a little bit of familiarity can help out. What's sort of the key to trying to get to him tonight?
Yeah, we just got to battle him, just like we have the last 2 nights. We've taken some good at-bats. We've scratched some runs across. We just got to keep doing that and then do it again against their bullpen.
Yeah, to that point, do you feel like you've seen a positive trend in the offense, both in terms of the approach and the production? I mean, you've had some runs scored against some pretty tough guys lately, and it seems like the offense may be turning around.
Yeah, definitely. I think the guys are taking better at-bats. We're taking better at-bats 1 through 9, and, it's leading to some production. There's still some runs out there that we're leaving on the board with runners in scoring position, but we're not going to be perfect every single game, so doing our best to, keep that trend going and get us ready for the second half of the season.
Mason Miller named to the All-Star team. What can you say about what he's done this first half?
He's had an unbelievable season. Just one, that I've probably never witnessed before. It's pretty amazing what he can do every single night. And we've got to find ways to get him in there a little bit more often.
Disappointing a little bit that he's the only All-Star?
Yeah, I think you always want all your guys to be All-Stars, but he's performed above and beyond. And, like we've talked about with the offense kind of this first half, it's kind of got off to a slow start. I think by the end of the season, these guys are going to have numbers that they've had in the past. And, we'll forget about this All-Star break period and look at the season as a whole.
Where's Campusano? Can he do full 9 today?
Yep, he'll be playing 9 innings as long as they don't pitch it for him or he gets hurt.
How about what is Jeremiah doing in Arizona? We haven't seen much progress from him.
Yeah, he threw a bullpen today, actually, so it went very well. He's on his way back, just in his throwing progression and, should be coming back soon.
Jackson's last couple of days, the swings he's taken, the way he's used the whole field. What have you seen that has kind of allowed him to look more like Jackson when he's going good?
Yeah, it's nice to see him, hit a couple balls out, get some singles, get some doubles. We need him to probably not worry about his swing as much and just go out and compete and play baseball. And I think we saw that with Toddy. The same thing, too, is, they get in these little funks and they think it's very mechanical, very, very mechanical. But the one thing that they got to remember is they're some of the greatest athletes in the game of baseball and on the planet, and they can self-organize themselves if they just play the game and compete like they did since they were little.
And I imagine, he hasn't gone through a stretch like this probably, ever, or, the stretch that he had earlier in the season. Have you kind of seen him grappling with that, dealing with that, and learning how to handle that?
Oh, definitely. I think everybody is. I think especially our team right now in this little funk that we're in, a stretch of not winning games, is dealing with that on a daily basis. That's kind of what the baseball season is. Never is everybody feeling really good about how things are going. So it's constantly, empowering these guys, encouraging them, and telling them how great they are.
Have you seen him
change his approach or try harder when he's up in the upper half of the lineup compared to the bottom half? He seems to have more success where, 5, 6, 7 than he has in 2, 3.
Yeah, I don't know. That could be happenstance. It could be he maybe takes a little bit of pressure off of himself. But I think we've seen even when he's at the bottom lineup, he comes up in big spots no matter what anyway. So, we trust Jackson in any of those big spots. Eventually, he's going to break out and be a really big player for us.
Great with the trade deadline August 3rd. Ball players are really good at compartmentalizing. Do you have any thoughts in that area about guys keeping their focus and not putting any thought into that stuff?
Yeah, I think we're so far away from it. I don't think they're thinking about it yet. When it gets closer, obviously all the reports come out of different names being thrown out. My only thing for them is 99% of it, all the stuff that's written is not true. And most of the things that do happen are things that nobody knows about, or they're pretty obvious. So, in the end, we've got to go out and compete every single day. And the more we can focus on that, the better off we'll be.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Craig on our post-game coverage coming up later on this evening. Sam Levitt back with you here in L.A. at Chavez Ravine Dodgers Stadium as the Padres get ready to play the third game of this 4-game series. Here in L.A., Yoshinobu Yamamoto is starting to get loose down the left field line. He's starting tonight for the Dodgers, and the Padres starting to get loose. A couple of players down the right field line. Grounds crew is watering the infield. They're making the batter's box lines, the chalk lines by home plate, and the crowd filing in here at Dodger Stadium on this Independence Day. A very happy July 4th to everybody out there. Hope you had a wonderful day. Maybe you went to the beach. Maybe you had a barbecue. Maybe you were sitting by the pool. Maybe you had to work today, like me. I got to work. Maybe you had to work today, but hey, we signed up for it. Baseball. Is there any better place to be than a ballpark on July 4th? There really isn't. So I am very, very fortunate that I've been on at a ballpark almost every July 4th since I was like 20 years old. How about that? Last like 13, 14 years. So pretty cool. I'm blessed, and hope everybody's having a wonderful Independence Day out there on this 250th birthday for the United States of America. First pitch coming up at 7:10. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not. Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
We'll put a couple of guys in the hot category today. Jackson Merrill, home runs in back-to-back games for the first time this season, both going to the opposite field on Thursday and Friday night. So we'll see if Jackson can keep it rolling here today. Xander Bogaerts is batting .333 in his last 6 games with 3 doubles and 3 RBIs in that span. The X-Man had an RBI double last night. As far as the not category, I'll be honest with you, I kind of went through it, and nobody is ice cold offensively right now for the Padres. So a rare time, I'm going to leave the not category empty today. And look, I do think it speaks to the fact that the Padres offense has been pretty productive the last week or two, and obviously has not really been the issue. Pitching has been quite a bit more of the problem, and that's a quick look at who's hot, who's not. Let's take a look at some Major League headlines as we go around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Some Major League headlines here today on July 4th. Aroldis Chapman became the Major League's career leader in strikeouts as a reliever last night, topping a record that had stood for more than half a century. The strikeout he recorded last night to take sole possession of that record was the 1,386th 64th strikeout in Chapman's 17-year career. It broke the record long held by Hoyt Wilhelm, the Hall of Famer whose 21-year career ended in 1972, just 5 days shy of his 50th birthday. But now the all-time strikeout record by a reliever belongs to Aroldis Chapman of the Boston Red Sox right now. Some injury news. Rangers activating Chris Martin from the IL earlier today, placing Jacob Junis on the IL with right hip impingement. The 40-year-old Martin was on the IL because of a right shoulder issue. The Twins, Zebby Matthews, talented right-hander, left his start today with a right foot laceration in the 5th inning. And finally, the Cubs signing Jake Woodford to a 1-year major league contract, right-handed pitcher. They did designate right-hander Bryce Wilson for assignment. And that's a quick look at some headlines from around the major leagues. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming your way in just a little bit. When we come back, we'll hear from the Padres' new all-star, Mason Miller, making his second all-star game announced earlier today, a National League all-star, lone all-star right now for the Padres here in 2026. But as we know, well deserved. We hear from Mason Miller on his all-star selection when we come back on the Padres Radio Network.
Hello, friends. It's Woodsy here.
July 4th here in Los Angeles, Padres taking on the LA Dodgers. First pitch coming up at 7:10. We send things to Jesse and Tony in just about 22 minutes as the Padres try to get things back on track here tonight at Chavez Ravine. Padres losing the first 2 games of this series to the Dodgers. Padres have lost a season-high 7 consecutive games. There was some good news earlier today, though. Mason Miller selected to the All-Star team in the National League. Very, very well deserved. We'll hear from Mason in just a little bit. First, let's give you a couple of injury updates as we get ready for first pitch.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
A notable name out of the Dodger lineup today, that is Shohei Ohtani, who threw a season-high 110 pitches in the game last night. Ohtani had a right bicep that tightened up on a swing in the bottom half of the sixth inning yesterday, so a precautionary move. The Dodgers holding Ohtani out of the lineup today. Unclear whether he could be back tomorrow or not, but he will not play today. Shohei Ohtani. Instead, Tommy Edman in center field leading off today for the Dodgers, followed by Pages and Freeman. That's Tucker, Hernandez, Muncy, Rushing, and Freeland, the Dodger lineup here today. In the Padres lineup, we get our first look at Luis Campusano since coming off the IL. Campy went on the IL for nearly 2 months with that fractured toe. So Campusano, who did not appear in last night's game, although he was active, he gets the start here tonight behind the plate, catching opener. Wandy Peralta, Griffin Canning scheduled to get bulk innings after that. So Campusano is back, and Campy was in the midst of a really, really nice season when he went on the IL, hitting .288 with 3 home runs and 10 RBIs. Good to have Campy back in there here today. And that's a look at our injury report. Ohtani out and Campusano in today's Padres lineup. Let's take a quick full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have a number of finals already today. The Mariners beat up on the Blue Jays 11-0 in Seattle. Blue Jays got 1 hit in that game. Tigers beat the Rangers 3-0 in Arlington. Twins beat the Yankees 11-4 in New York. Pirates beat the Nationals 7-1 in Washington, D.C. A lot of games going on right now. Orioles ahead of the Reds 8-5 in Cincinnati. In the 7th inning, White Sox lead the Guardians 3-1 in Cleveland. In the 9th inning, Rays and the Astros are tied at 8 in Houston. In the 7th, the Braves lead the Mets 6-1 in Atlanta. In the 5th inning, Cardinals lead the Cubs 1-0 at Wrigley Field. In the 2nd, Phillies 4, Royals 1. The score in Kansas City in the 6th inning. Giants ahead of the Rockies 5-3 in Colorado. In the 3rd, Red Sox and the Angels are scoreless in the 1st inning in Anaheim. Same for the Marlins and the A's in Sacramento. And we've got one game yet to begin aside from this one. The Brewers and the D-backs in Arizona. They are about to get underway in Arizona. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Saturday, July 4th. I'll have much more on all those games for you coming up on our post-game coverage later on this evening. Well, Mason Miller selected as the lone all-star, at least right now, for the Padres here in 2026. That was announced earlier today. What a year it's been for Mason Miller, a 0.78 ERA in 33 appearances, a National League best 21 saves, 34 2/3 innings, 66 strikeouts. As you know, Mason Miller has been absolutely tremendous with the Padres so far this season since being traded over from the Athletics at the trade deadline last summer. Unfortunately, the Padres have just not had a whole lot of opportunities to use him since the beginning of June. Mason Miller has only made 9 appearances, and that's because the Padres, quite simply have not played from ahead and with a lead late in the game very much in the last handful of weeks. So hopefully that's a trend that turns around soon, but a very, very well-deserved all-star selection for Mason Miller. Mason spoke with myself and reporters inside the Padres clubhouse earlier.
Well, Mason, congratulations on the honor. What's it feel like to be a 2-time All-Star?
That's exciting. Obviously an awesome individual achievement. Told the guys, just really honored to be able to represent this group too. It's competing within your individual position, but being able to be a representative of your team is something that I think a lot of players should cherish.
You had a chance to go to the All-Star game in 2024. What did you take away from that experience, and what are you looking forward to this time around?
It's a lot of fun. A lot of busy happenings going on, but yeah, just enjoyed every second of it last time, and having one under my belt and being able to have a little bit more of an expectation of what's going to go down this time. I think I'll have even more fun.
You've had a terrific first half of the season. When you zoom out, look at what you've done so far, what stands out to you? What have been the keys?
Just consistency, really. Times and stretches throughout the season where you throw the ball really well, and times where you throw it a little bit worse. But just being able to compete when you don't have your best stuff, and lock it in when you need to. If the first couple don't go as well as you need them.
It'll be the first time you go to the All-Star game in a Padre uniform. What does it mean in particular with this organization to represent them there?
Yeah. Obviously, a team with, plenty of history of guys going to the All-Star game representing the Padres, joining that group is special. Yeah, it's not a thing that any player is guaranteed in this game. Year to year, the competition and how other guys are throwing, and it's just something that you really cherish and take advantage of when you get the opportunity to do it.
So you find it hard to kind of separate your success with what the team is kind of going through right now, knowing that you can't do your thing unless you got a lead, and it's kind of been a while since you've been able to do your thing.
Yeah, no, I think we talked about it in April when I was pitching all the time, and you guys were kind of asking, like, is this sustainable for the whole season? How much you're throwing? And it's the ebbs and flows of a back end guy. Just there's times during a season, good teams, bad teams, that best closer or best relief pitchers aren't throwing as much. But it's just a challenge to us of staying ready and knowing that at one point this year we're not going to lose the next 70 however many games there are. There's going to be tight games. There's going to be stretches where we're playing better baseball and we're running into teams that are scuffling a little bit. So just kind of trusting that that method, I guess, that a season's not an even continuous line. It's very up and down.
You said consistency. How else are you getting pitching?
Pitch usage is obviously a big one. Zone percentage, count leverage. I think I'm a little bit better than I was then, and that's kind of the natural course of as you spend more time in this game, you go through the times where hitters adjust to you and you adjust back to them, and playing the game within the game and facing guys you've seen several times and not being able to just come on the scene and throw my fastball by guys.
Facing pretty big guys in that first trip to the All-Star game, what do you appreciate about that setting, being on that mound and that spot?
Yeah, it's an incredible cast of players, incredible cast of future Hall of Famers, up-and-coming stars. It really is just a gathering of talent, and being able to be included in that group, and you kind of look around and see a lot of guys that you admire or grew up admiring, and at least for my first year, and still now too, just guys that you look at and have them to thank in many ways for how big of a baseball fan you are and how much they've done for this game. So to be amongst them as a peer and not as a fan is pretty special feeling.
How much do you pick their brains?
As much as they let you. Yeah. We're still competing throughout the season, but yeah, I think everybody kind of goes in there. You like being around guys that are the elite of the elite and do something really well. And, whether it's for me, a pitch grip or a mental approach, or, just kind of how they are and how they carry themselves with their routine, I think is something that you can learn as much by just watching them as you can by talking to them.
Were there any guys in particular in 2024 that you connected with that was pretty cool?
I enjoyed Garrett Crochet a lot. I learned a lot about his process at that point of, I came up as a starter and then was a reliever, and, he went different paths, obviously, but at that point he was back, I think, his first year starting. So just talking to him and just curiosity as far as how's that been, what had worked, what hadn't worked, and, what had resulted in having the success that he had.
You threw in the bullpen after last night's game, I think, at least the second time this season. What's it been like trying to stay sharp recently when you're not getting so much work?
Yeah, same deal. It's close games here and there, and when you get that opportunity to throw or get up in like a contingency situation, I feel like that's the closest you can get to simulating getting into a game. It's one thing to throw some pitches before a game during batting practice or something like that, but when you go through your prep, you go through your whole routine that you would go through before you go into a game. I think that puts you in your best place, the closest you can get to game like.
How soon after the final out do you start actually throwing in there?
I was playing catch because if we hit a home run, it's a tie game and I'm going to go in for the ninth inning. So kind of just managed it slowly through that. And, you get the 2 outs down 1 run. It could be a home run and then a ground out on the next pitch. So you're fairly close to being ready to go into the game. Just stretched it out a little bit longer once the game had ended.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Rock and Block Turf and Hardscapes. Beautiful artificial turf that stays green all year long. Trust and experience. The job isn't done until it's done right. See them at rockandblocklandscape.com.
Couple of quick keys for you as we get ready for the third game of this 4-game series here in LA. First key, Fernando Tatis Jr. Can he be a little bit more productive against the LA Dodgers? Fernando, and I couldn't believe this, he does not have a home run and only 3 RBIs in 21 games against the Dodgers since the start of 2025. Did have that double early last night, scored a run, but man, the Padres could really use Fernando Tatis Jr. to have a couple of big swings here tonight in LA. This has typically been a place where he's always had a lot of success. As far as key number 2, well, Shohei Ohtani not in the lineup today for the Dodgers, so it means that you got to make sure that guys like Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman don't beat you. Both those guys swinging the bats really well right now. Mookie hitting .360 with 10 extra base hits, 16 runs scored in his last 18 games. Freddie Freeman in the midst of an 18-game on-base streak. He's hitting .364 in that span with 9 extra base hits and 10 RBIs. And that's a quick look at our keys to today's game. When we come back, we do a full breakdown of our pitching matchup. Wandy Peralta, the opener, Griffin Canning on the mound after that at some point for the Padres. Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound tonight for LA. We discuss more about that when we return on the Padres Radio Network.
We'll be right back.
News here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you here in LA as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 7:10. Third game of this 4-game series here on Independence Day at Dodger Stadium. Let's tell you what to watch for in tonight's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
What to watch for here tonight. How about Miguel Andujar, who has some really, really good career numbers against Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound tonight for LA. Andujar in his career, 4 for 7 with a home run and a double against Yamamoto. Can Miguel Andujar, who has swung the bat pretty well lately, can he have an impact against Yamamoto and on this game here tonight? That's what to watch for in this one. Speaking of the Dodger right-hander, let's get to our full breakdown of tonight's pitching matchup.
Let's break down how today's starters are shaping up with our starting pitching preview. Brought to you by Harrah's Resort Southern California and the First Down Sports Bar in Funner, California. Don't just watch the match, experience the glory. Head to Funner for every World Cup match to enjoy stadium-level energy and amazing specials at the best sports bar in SoCal.
Left-hander Wandy Peralta will open tonight's game for the Padres, a 2.38 ERA in 38 appearances this season, coming off his worst outing of the year on Thursday here in LA. 1 inning, he allowed 4 runs on 6 hits in that game on Thursday. This will be his 4th time being used as an opener this season. Each time it's been a scoreless inning, so he's been really good in this role. And Wandy making his 4th start here today in LA. Right-hander Griffin Canning, he's scheduled to get the bulk innings today. 11 outings, a 7.09 ERA, 47 innings, 50 hits given up this year. His ERA is the 3rd highest in the majors among pitchers with at least 45 innings of work. He gave up 2 runs over 4 innings and a third against the Cubs on Monday at Wrigley Field. He faced the Dodgers on May 19th at Petco Park, gave up 3 runs in 5 innings. He did give up a home run to Freddie Freeman in that game. Right-hander Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound for LA. The 27-year-old having a real good year. 8-5, 15 starts, 2.67 ERA. 97 2/3 innings. He struck out 90, walked only 19. His last start against the Padres, 6 innings, 2 runs given up on 5 hits. He also made the start against them on May 18th. He went 7 strong innings, gave up just 1 run on 3 hits. Like I said, Andujar has a home run against him. Gavin Sheets also has a home run against Yamamoto this season. He's been very good lately overall, a 1.70 ERA in his last 7 starts, and for the most part, he's been very good against the Padres, an ERA of 2.37 in his last 5 starts against San Diego, going back to Game 5 of the 2024 National League Division Series. And that's a look at our pitching matchup here today. Wandy Peralta opening for the Padres, Griffin Canning slated to get bulk innings, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound for LA. When we come back, we send things up to Jesse and Tony. They'll have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. As always, we appreciate you listening to our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. I'll talk to you on our postgame coverage. Enjoy the game and happy 4th of July.
And the match is about to begin.